welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim, and with me is my co-host Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
Spooky season!
It has begun!
Let's go!
So, we have kicked things off the right way, I think, with what some has billed the bloodiest or goriest horror movie of all time, as some consider it.
You know, it's funny. I remember when they were making when they were hyping up It Chapter 2, and Jessica Chastain was saying, "Oh, they told me they used the most blood they've ever used in this one scene in the movie," and I'm like, and then I saw the movie, like, no,
you didn't.
I've seen something with it in much more blood.
Yeah, it's cute and all.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Although, maybe to give her credit, like, not all fake blood is done the same.
No. Peter Jackson's got a special eye.
Yeah, this fake blood in this movie, it's almost reminiscent of the ooze from Ghostbusters 2 at times.
Yeah, there's a pinkish hue to a lot of it. Yeah, because there's a lot of guts going on with the...
Yeah, it's also chunky.
Blood. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's also
stuff.
Very chunky, yes.
Yeah.
I saw this movie...
Dead Alive, by the way.
Dead Alive,
Dead Alive. Sorry. Or Brain Dead, as it was originally known.
Yes. I only knew it as Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Until much later. And it was... so like for a while, me and my buddy Mike in high school, we got into this groove of like, hey, we're bored. Let's go to Blockbuster when that was a thing. And like, let's just look at the covers and the back of these things and just rent the craziest freaking horror movie thing we could find and just watch and have fun and laugh at it and stuff like that. And this was the movie that started that. And it's kind of bad because it was like, how do we go from here? Because this is one of the best, hilarious horror movies you could ever watch.
Yeah.
How do you go? Where do you go from there? So we started too strong, I have to say.
Probably. This is I used to be terrified of everything, especially horror movies. Didn't like horror, anything like that. And there were two movies that changed that all for me. And this is one of them. This and Scream, and I did them both in the same year, and I was like...
Really? Same year? Wow.
Yeah. 1996, hell of a year for me. And I was like, all right, you know what? I like this genre now. I'm past my fears, and now I just want all of it.
It's, I still don't like gore. I really don't like it. I'm okay with it at times if you pick your spots. I don't like... what is it? Hostel? Wasn't for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do have my limits, but this movie is done in such a way where it's not gross. It's just hilarious.
Well, it is gross, but it's gross in a fun way. Yeah.
It's camp. It's camp.
It's funny. I'm the same way in some respects. I've got a little tougher stomach than you.
Yes.
But like the French horror movies, like Martyrs and stuff like that, I'm like, I got no patience for. But something like this movie was so over the top and funny that the original raters of the film in New Zealand thought about not making it an 18 and over movie and said, like, we should actually this might qualify for 15 and over. But then they realized they would probably get into way too much trouble and like, all right, it's just easier to make it 18 and over. Let's just
way easier. But I totally get it. Like,
right?
It really is. It really should be people's intro to that kind of stuff, almost like gore. Like, okay, if you can handle this, then you can kind of gradually go because it's so camp.
If you can handle the custard scene, you can handle just about anything.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
So technically, this is your pick.
This is my pick.
Yeah.
Okay. So
for the record, I had to talk him out of another movie I love, but a poor choice to start the season with.
Well, I guess some inside baseball. I struggled because we started off the first season with 48 Hours, and I felt like I needed to try to pick something in a similar vein. You know what I mean? Something that's pretty good and classic, maybe not the best of the year. So that was my struggle with it, right? And this is going to be a shorter season. There's not as many horror movies this season as there was action movies in 1982.
Theatrically, at least, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really struggled with my pick, and I really had to talk with you a lot, almost talk it through, work it out, type of thing. So, you definitely made me come around to making this pick. So yeah. So Dead Alive,
AKA Brain Dead.
AKA Brain Dead. What a picture.
What a picture.
What?
To me, that's cinema. Dead Alive.
Yeah, I mean, how is it not, right?
I don't think I have seen this movie since 1996, so this was just an absolute delight to revisit.
Oh, same. I don't think I've seen this since I saw it when I was in high school. So that was probably, 2006, 2007 was probably around when no, not 2007. Oh, geez. I'm forgetting when I graduated. 2005 is when I was at college then. Whoops. Okay. Sorry. Maybe 2002 of sorts is kind of what I'm thinking of. But this is like, I don't know if this is one of the first movies for Peter Jackson.
This is his third movie.
Okay, but okay. So anyway,
it's the first Peter Jackson movie you ever saw, I think, probably, because I think you probably saw Frighteners after this.
No, I'm pretty sure I saw Frighteners before this.
Really? Okay.
I came to this.
Oh yeah,
later.
because you saw it way later than me. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, I saw this when I was in high school, so it was definitely after Frighteners.
Yeah.
But it is a man. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
So this movie is about a rat monkey gets stolen from Skull Island.
Woo, shout out Kong.
I know, which is so funny.
He loves that movie. He loves it.
Well, obviously, he went and did it himself later on. So,
and the rat monkey technically has a cameo in his version of King Kong.
Yes,
by the way.
I saw that. I read about it. Yeah. At least I didn't catch it when I saw Kong. But
yeah, it's been a while since I saw the movie.
Yeah, it's on like a box or cargo box or something, which I think is fantastic for him. Yeah. So so this rat monkey gets taken to a zoo, and there's warnings of it being cursed and all that kind of stuff, but it still made its way to the zoo. And so basically this rat monkey ends up biting this horrible old woman who is way too overprotective of her son Lionel, who was on a date, and this turns into basically zombies. And Lionel has to basically kind of get a backbone and learn to fight for himself and this girl he likes. And that's the basic premise of the movie.
You've gotten so much better at this. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really proud of that, right? I really kept a lot to the vest there.
So let's talk about our hero, Lionel.
Okay. I think Lionel's at his best. What the facial expressions he can put on are amazing.
What happened to this guy?
I don't know. It made me look at his IMDb.
Right?
And it's like, really? Because it's not like, okay, again, like it's slapsticky almost. It's very camp, over the top.
He is the 90s version of Charlton Copley. I'm like, where did he go? We could have had a decade of him in American movies just being, I don't know, silly sidekicks at the very least.
At the very
weirdos,
least,
in the movies. I want more of him. I'm annoyed that I haven't gotten a big chunk of this guy.
Yeah, and it's because, again, his face delivers so much in this movie.
So much of this, the way Jackson directed this, with the facial expressions that you're talking about, it's almost like he was directing a silent film with sound. So like everyone's facial expressions is so extra.
How much was Peter Jackson influenced by Sam Raimi, by the way?
Oh, I have a hat tip to this later on. Was like, this is
because the whole time I'm rewatching this movie and be like, man, there is so much Evil Dead.
There's a scene in this. There is like one quick scene in this movie where he hat tips both Spielberg and Raimi as a quick 1-2 punch, and you're just like, oh my god. Like, I love this guy.
Yeah. It's impressive watching Lionel sometimes where I saw too where and I'm sorry to trample on your notes, like I know that's kind of your thing, but like I did read up on how Peter Jackson, even with the insane practical stuff they were doing in this movie, as camp as it was, it's still impressive to look at. He did this movie under budget, which is a weird thing because almost every time you look at these like crazy movies, they're always over budget. This movie was under budget, and he took this under budget and went back to film one more scene with Lionel.
Yeah,
which was that whole baby in the park sequence.
And I have
and it's just my god.
It's fine because this is the scene I have written in Lionel's. It doesn't make sense for the movie at all.
Not at all.
But it is so much fun.
Yes.
So I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But watching Lionel fight a zombie baby in a park and watching in this playground,
mothers
and
watching
all these mothers like, why is he punching this baby? It's so
he's
great.
like throwing it against the swing set. Stuff.
Exactly.
It's so much. But again, it's like the facial expressions, the physical comedy that he's doing. Like there was a scene where in that sequence where the stroller is going down a hill at this park.
Yeah.
And he's like tumbling after it, but then stands up to grab it. And I was like, that's some like weird horror version of Jackie Chan stuff going on here, that to like tumble down the hill, but then somehow then stand back up to then grab it. It's like, that's some physical greatness right there. I have to say, for this little scrawny dude, like, impressive.
And like, Buster Keaton is the first person I think of when I'm watching this guy go about this. And he's got a Buster Keaton-esque way about him throughout all of this.
He really does.
And it's so cool to watch.
And it really isn't like, he's not delivering anything great, like lines. It's not exactly
a dialogue heavy
campy movie.
Yeah,
it's not that kind of thing, but really he just needs to put on these facial expressions to give the audience the correct vibe, and the dude nails it the entire time.
That's what it's like a silent movie shot with sound, because a lot of it is being carried in the facial expressions, and it really is. He's great at it. He's phenomenal.
I don't think he has a lot of lines.
I don't think anybody has a lot of lines. You know, it's a lot of it's like, oh no, mom, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean maybe the uncle.
Yeah, Uncle Les. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess maybe the romantic lead. I'm drawing a blank.
Paquita.
Paquita. Yeah, she's got a little bit more lines, and then maybe a little bit of the mom in the beginning, but that's about it. Like not a whole lot of lines from people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, so Lionel.
Yeah.
Is like this, when we meet him, he's like this sweet-hearted mama's boy in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
And he loves sweater vests like nothing else until he meets Paquita.
Yeah. But he still seems to have it on. He's just more disheveled looking.
Yeah. I have never met a mama's boy like this in real life, and I kind of wonder if there's just a construct of movies. Have you ever met a guy who's like so devoted to his mom like this before in your life?
But I mean, it is a period piece movie, right? So they're trying to take it place in like the 1950s, I think.
So Mama's Boys has just kind of died out with the 50s, you think?
At least in this version, maybe. It
was the boomers. The boomers were Mama's Boys.
Exactly. It took the 60s and all that kind of stuff to kill this version of it. Maybe. I'm sure Mama's Boys still existed, but I've definitely known some Mama Boys, but never like this, where they're like waiting on the mama hand and foot type of stuff.
Right. And okay, so you said he doesn't have like a lot of lines in this movie, but he has a couple of like iconic lines. First, you have Paquita saying, "Your mother ate my dog."
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not all of it.
Not all of it. Yeah.
And then that's my mother.
Again, like,
wait.
Even sorry to interrupt you, but like, it's not even like. Yes, he delivers that line, But again, it's the facial expression delivering that line that really nails it.
Yeah, it is great. And that's my mother you're pissing on.
Yeah. There's a lot of great lines in general in this movie.
Yeah. And then my favorite, and I sent you the GIF when we decided that in the movie.
Yeah.
Lionel running in place because there's so much blood on the floor.
There's so much blood, yeah.
And then he has to like use the severed heads as stepping stones to get away from the zombies. Incredible physical comedy. Just outstanding.
Great. There is legit, like, if he doesn't admit that Looney Tunes influenced him, I call poppycock. I call liar. Like, there's clearly influence from like that kind of cartoon Looney Tune type comedy. You know what I mean? Like the baby alone, zombie baby alone.
Sulwyn.
It had a name?
Sulwyn, yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't realize that.
Baby Sulwyn.
But that kind of stuff is just, it's pure Looney Tunes. How that baby comes and goes and messes with characters and gets himself out of jams frequently. Like it's
Yeah. I got nothing else specific to say about this character. Do you have anything else?
I really think we nailed it.
Okay.
I mean he's really great with the physical comedy, with the facial expressions. He does have a few great lines. And that's all that's asked from him, and he nails it.
So what'd you give the hero?
Oh, I forgot to pull up my scoring here. Whoops.
The whole point of the show. It's okay. No big deal.
I know. I gave him a 3.
I gave him a 3.5, so we're out on the same place.
Okay. Yeah.
Villain.
So I put a few different things down here. It's kind of hard.
So did I. It's a tougher one because it's a zombie movie.
Yeah, there's so many things that turn into villains, but I mean, I feel like the villain per se is mom and is the uncle.
Mum.
Yeah. Thank you for the correction. Yes, I feel like it's a combination of mum and the uncle.
You don't want to talk about the rat monkey?
Oh, I totally want to talk about the rat monkey. Come on.
You want to talk about Can we talk about the rat monkey's origin story?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so was he didn't work for the zoo, right? The guy in the beginning?
He was a zoologist, I'm guessing. But
he was a zoologist.
Regardless, later on when we get to the zoo, that's not important. When we get to the zoo.
Fair enough.
There's like a janitor or something. I don't know what the heck he was.
He's like a groundskeeper Willie type
comes
guy.
Comes up and tells them, Paquita and Lionel, what the origin of the rat monkey is. The legend of the rat monkey.
The legend, yes.
Is that the rats from a slave ship abandoned the ship and raped all the monkeys on the island.
I didn't catch that. That as what he said. He was a hard person to understand. That,
this one I paid very close attention. He's like,
fair enough.
What did he say? It's like, oh shit.
Man, I have to say
that's dark.
This was a hard movie to take notes on.
You don't want to watch it all. It's so visually pleasing to watch. Yeah.
I was like, at one point I said, God damn it. I had to pause and rewind and finish taking notes. And it was...
Sometimes it's just rewinding because it's fun to watch.
Sure. I'm pretty sure I missed stuff. Because the worst was definitely the ending sequence of the party.
Oh, like the last half an hour of the movie. Yeah,
I had such a hard time taking notes there.
Yeah, a lot of pausing and rewinding.
Happens. Yeah. But yeah, so I missed that part, but that's pretty funny. That's...
But you're right. Lionel's mother, Vera, is she's the real the co-villain or the real villain of the movie.
Yeah.
For all the awful things she's done before and will do in this movie. But
Correct.
Good on her for killing the rat monkey, because
yeah, who would want to see that?
Not me. I would not be happy.
It's not a particularly cool looking rat monkey, I guess. I don't know. I'm assuming that's got to be like stop motion type of stuff.
Yeah, it's a claymation thing.
Yeah, claymation. I mean, it looked kind of cool, but like it was definitely not pleasing to the eyes. That's for sure.
No,
it was fun to see its head get crushed.
It's made in the same way that Baby Sulwyn was made.
Yeah. So. Well, at least some of the shots, because some of the shots, it's like
clearly a little person with a forced perspective and change in the background. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Much like Chucky in the original Chucky movie.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you have to say about Lionel's mom?
Um, it's interesting because it's like when she's first going zombie or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Is when it gets interesting, it gets good, but like she's like this like conked out, almost turning into a cave person, right? And then when she goes full on zombie, she's mostly like catatonic. And then at the end, when she turns into
Uber mom.
Yeah, Uber Mom, and she's on like basically. It was weird. It says poison on the jar in one front, and then you turn it over, and it's like animal stimulant or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm a zombie now on steroids, and that version of Mom is like vocal and saying stuff that you're. So it's weird to me, the different versions of Mom or Mum throughout this movie.
Respect the Kiwi accent.
I try.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely goes through a couple different forms. I mean, the first one, she's just running around like a typical awful human being, ordering her son around, like, mow the lawn. I just mowed the lawn. Yeah. I don't need to mow the lawn.
I just dusted this.
Yeah.
I just did. Yeah.
I just did the silver last week. I don't need to do it again. You're doing it again.
Like the 50s version of a Karen.
Yeah, and she's like waving around like a huge steak knife while she's ordering her around and stuff.
Yeah.
Because later on, we find out that she had murdered her husband and his mistress while Lionel watching. And this is what we thought was love for Mom and protect your mom. Is actually he was scared of her the whole time. And he just repressed the actual visual of seeing his mother murder these people.
Yeah, he knew something was drowning or drowned and it got turned on him or whatever. But yeah, because that was a little weird because it was like, wait a minute. Was she pretending to be Mom and not actually? I was a little confused on that because they didn't exactly clearly say mistress and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I figured it out. But I mean, I was a little confused at first.
Right.
That was such a you're dumb.
I don't know.
Ouch.
I wasn't expecting a twist or any further than what it already was. It's like a hat in a hat if you want to go like not actually his mom. After that, I mean, and like I said, then she's basically it's just a zombie, and he's trying to run around, take care of her, hide the fact that she's a zombie.
Yeah,
and
because like even in that so she's like out of it, right? And then the people from like whatever committee or council that she wants to be a part of, I didn't quite get it. Whatever,
yeah,
they show up for like a meal. And then like, oh my God, we got to do this. And then even at the dinner sequence, she's like barely, understanding what's going on so much that she's eating her own ear.
Oh, yeah. I was saving that for action, but yeah, that's.
No, but I was just saying that's how like almost catatonic.
Right, and then she's just like a regular zombie until the very end of the movie, where she comes
very end,
where she becomes verbal again. Yeah.
So it's hard to get a characterization of a villain. That's why I almost said Mom and the uncle, because the uncle got to be like a villain.
I guess I didn't write him up as a villain, but yeah, go on. Go on about Uncle Les.
Well, yeah. So the uncle shows up after Mom is at least dead to the public.
Right.
Yeah. So people think that she's died, even though he's still trying to. He ends up looking pathetic, thinking he can't let go of his mom, even though he's just trying to put more animal tranquilizer in her so that nobody else knows that she's a zombie type of deal. But so the uncle shows up because he wants in on the inheritance. And so he's looking for a way to get in on this, and he's not part of it type of deal. And so he has to eventually stumble upon the dead bodies. He thinks they're just dead bodies, I guess, in the basement. And so he blackmails Lionel and says, basically, I won't tell anybody if you basically give me part of this inheritance.
Everything.
And so basically gets
wants the money and the house.
Yeah, and Lionel's so fed up with hiding everything, he's basically like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. And so he ends up getting everything and immediately like throwing a party, and he's trying to get his girl. He's manhandling everybody. He's a big jerk.
He's a little rapey.
Yes, very rapey.
And he gets kicked in the balls like 4 or 5 times as a result.
I think they said it was 5, isn't it 5? Yeah.
It's a fun running joke.
It
where
is.
He keeps on getting kicked in the nuts or right in the nuts.
Another one that's a good reaction because he gives a good reaction every time he gets kicked in the balls.
Yeah. He's a real piece of shit, so you enjoy it every time it happens. Like, yeah.
But it's a weird one too because at the same time, when he decides to kill a bunch of zombies himself, I'm almost cheering for this horrible person.
Right, because once again, it's so over the top and silly. You're just like, hell yeah,
exactly.
Go for it.
All of a sudden, he's like, I'm going to get you all.
He's got like a steak knife and a butcher knife, and he just takes like a wave of zombies. Like, ah.
Yeah. And it's fun. And at the same time, I love when he died, too.
Yeah.
And when he
gets hit in the balls one last time.
Yeah,
his zombie form was messed up looking. It was cool.
His zombie form is straight up out of the thing.
Yeah, it is. You can go.
It is. Totally is. But anyway, so he was like, I felt like he was the one to be alive enough to be a legitimate villain for a little bit. So that's why I threw him in the villain category.
Okay. I have a couple of villain moments to pop off.
Sure.
First off, when the greasers attack Lionel in the cemetery.
That was one of my notes. Greasers?
Yeah, because they're in the 50s, yeah.
No, I know. I
greasers.
Completely forgot that they were greasers.
So,
I remember the priest so vividly in that scene. I forgot about the greasers.
Right. So, like, the lead one who gets murdered by Vera first says some, like, standardized tough talk to, Lionel calling him a piece of shit. And he's like, oh, what are you doing in here? You digging up bodies, you freak.
I don't need to keep going for accents.
I tried, buddy. It's my thing. But then my favorite is like his number 2 like pulls Lionel to him. He's like, yeah, mean talk. Which I had to pause and laugh for like 10, 15 seconds. Like, no. Yeah, mean talk.
Yeah. Yep.
It's so dumb. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's great.
And the next bit, there's a scene where Lionel has all the 4 main zombies at a dinner table, and he's trying to feed them all hamburger helper with like tranquilizer poured into it.
Yeah.
And my favorite bit, and it's a really funny, messed up scene, not just because 2 zombies get it on and make a baby.
Yep, that happens.
But my favorite part of the scene actually is when head greaser zombie takes a spoon and shoves it through the back of his head.
Oh, yeah.
Right and then Mum
tries to go for the end of the spoon.
She takes the food off of the spoon that's sticking out of the back of his head and eats it in front of him. And Zombie Greaser is so angry and put out that he didn't get the food. It is so funny and dumb. I love it so much. It is
so funny and dumb, but that's not even
so
the part
great.
that I love the most in that scene. I love the most the nurse who gets her head almost chopped off, but not all the way.
Nearly severed,
flappily on there. So she's trying to eat, but it can't. It's oozing right out. So he has to lift her head off and just shoves it down the tube. And then closes her head back on.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh the hardest.
Yeah. It's a great scene. I love this movie. And then just a quick shout out to Zombie Baby Zulin, who is just so gross and repulsive and awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, he is basically a cartoon character.
He is. It's like Chucky and Baby Herman and Looney Tunes and Zombie all wrapped up into one.
Mm-hmm. But all these zombies, they do a lot of damage in the movie, so it's an awesome physical threat at the same time. So while we're laughing at like the antics going on, you never forget how dangerous all of them are, because they will get some kills if they get the slightest inch.
We get introduced to the baby because he's stuck in a radio somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how he got into there, but anyway, he pops up And the weird, like, he's always like a surprise, like, oh, surprise zombie baby.
Yeah.
Like, it's always like oh, didn't see that one coming.
Ain't I a stinker? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he runs away kind of laughing, giggling as he goes. It's like, oh my God, this baby.
So what'd you give the villains, unless you have anything else to say about villains in this movie?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to not trample on everything else, but I went 3.
Okay. I went 2.5. So we're right around the same place overall.
Yeah, I went 3. I just, it's kind of hard to, like, even when, like, grandma's not really around as much or getting kind of...
Mom.
Yeah, mom, sorry. Mom's getting catatonic and such. Like, you still get other villains that end up popping up to kind of fill the void. So you always got something. So Mom... the uncle, freaking demon baby there, zombie baby. Like, there's always a fun time with a villain somewhere. So it was kind of hard to, like, give it that low. So
yeah,
even though it's hard that it's not a true villain.
There's no deep characterization for any of them, but they're still a fun physical threat. Yeah, and always entertaining. So I went down the middle, but I'm good with the 3 too. If I even just to raise the score more.
Yeah.
So let's get to the meat and potatoes of this movie.
I know, it's weird. What do we call we can't call it action, right? I mean, it's still technically action, right? Because it means something's happening, but it's like,
right. I'm fine with leaving.
What do we call the category for this season? I don't know.
Kills, gore. It's an action. It's still an action.
Horror? Thing. I don't know. Like, yeah, I have it still in my notes under action.
So do I. So
yeah. All right. I guess we just keep it ahead.
Yeah. Let's get to the red meat.
Oh boy.
So less than 4 minutes into this movie, we have 2 decapitations. Not 2 amputations, sorry. Followed by a
zoologist, man, gets it good.
As soon as while they're escaping from the tribe from Skull Island, the rat monkey is in the cage, and he gets multiple bites onto the zoologist. And once these the Sherpas, or whatever you want to call them, see that he has been bitten a few times. As soon as they see a bite, they're chopping off the limb that he bit. And once they see that the head has also been scratched or bitten, whatever, like, well, that's going to go too. And that's the titles.
Yeah. And it is like...
It's like, oh, okay.
Really over the top.
Yeah.
Like, it's real camp from everybody on that one. But they, right from the bat, you kind of know what movie you're getting into because you see the hand coming off. You see the next limb, but not as much blood, right? I think the blood level increases as you go.
I think you're right, yeah.
But the gore is kind of still there. Like, you still see the hand coming off, but it's not like blood's going everywhere. But you will see blood going everywhere later.
The next bit I have highlighted here is the rat monkey itself ripping off another monkey's arm.
Yes!
It's like, oh, man!
He just rips it right off. Poor monkey.
Yeah, it's like he didn't even want the food because it makes you think that like the food is close to that monkey, so the monkey wants to steal the food from that other monkey. Yeah. No, he wants to eat the arm. He wants to rip the bone off and kill the monkey.
It's amazing, like that. This didn't happen sooner. Like grandma or mom is the first one that kind of is like, how did this? Because like even the zookeeper person's just going into the cage and being like, get out of here, as he like grabs the dead monkey body. It's like, okay,
I noticed
very unprotective.
I noticed you also tried the accent there. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
It's fun to do.
Not as good as you, but
Thank you. So like the gore effects on Mum's arm, by the way.
Yeah.
When he's inspecting it later on, like it's like pulsating like a human heart.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that's awesome and nasty.
And it has this like whitish
pus,
yellow pus stuff coming too, and it's like pulsating. And you're like, oh, that's so gross.
It's so great. I love it so much. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
And then the infamous lunch custard scene. I gotta tell you, I ate right before watching this movie.
Mistake.
Yes. This is the first time in I can't remember how long where I literally had to choke back some vomit. I was like, oh,
really?
And nothing came like out actually up, but I was like, oh, that's
what is it? The Animal or whatever Holocaust movie is that? Like
Cannibal Holocaust? No, that one just made me sad, and I had to like take a walk. This one is like Oh, that's so gross.
It is just nasty.
So yeah, the mom's arm pulsates out again at the table, and a bloody pus lands into the custard of the guest, and he's too busy enjoying the custard to notice.
It's really good, apparently.
Yeah, and
because the guy refused to leave until he had dessert.
Yeah. And yeah, he eats this custard with the pus in it, and he's having the time of his life, and I'm just like, oh god. And then
which is really weird. This movie has problems. If you want to find problems, obviously we don't. But like, what exactly causes someone to turn into a zombie is weird. Like it doesn't make any. You would think like right there, like because it's been so long since I saw the movie, I was like, oh, so that guy's gonna turn into a zombie because he just ate pus custard.
Maybe because she wasn't totally dead yet. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but there's been plenty of other examples of gross stuff and contaminate. But I guess it has to be a physical bite or something. I don't know.
It's a Peter. It's.
I know. I'm saying you have to find problems. Yes, exactly.
But and then immediately after, Vera's mom's ear falls off into her own custard, and then she scoops it up with her spoon and eats it, and it's just like, oh.
No, the best part of that though is when she spits the earring back out after she's done eating her ear.
I think I didn't see that because I was busy trying to like not vomit. I was like,
oh really? Yeah.
That is so
that's
gross.
The best part. She spits the earring out.
Oh my god.
She eats the ear with an earring in it, and then it cuts back to her as she spits the earring back out. You're like, oh my god, she swallowed and everything and chewed.
So gross. so gross. And you just have to applaud Peter Jackson for that because it's hard to make me someone real horror vet or whatever. Especially after all these years. This is not the first time I've even watched it. I still get sick watching this. This is so. I think that's awesome you did that.
I think what's amazing to me rewatching is like coming back years later and being like, oh my god, this is the dude that has won an Oscar and he's made all these Lord of the Rings movies that people freaking love and obsess over, and here this is where he's at in this point in his life, and you're like, I can't believe A meant to be, and you're like, oh my god.
No, it's a miracle. It doesn't make any sense that New Line ever took a chance on him, but thank God they did.
Yeah.
But anyway, the next bit of my favorite bit of action scene is when Nurse McTavish comes to declare Mum dead.
Right. And
while we're all sad and grieving Mum for a few seconds, Mum, of course, rises up from the dead and like digs her fingers into the nurse's face.
Yes.
And rips off her head. Almost. Entirely.
Not completely clean. Yeah.
Which, that's just an awesome effect.
But just to see the fingers go
like inside. Yeah.
Into the skin of the face, like right where your cheeks are.
It looked almost like a Screaming Mad George gore effect. I don't know if you're familiar with him off the top of your head. He did like the Guyver.
Yeah, okay.
He did this other movie called Society, where he did the effects on. He's done a bunch of other effects that were just like, wow, this guy is incredible. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that he would specialize in. And it's like, where it's like getting into the skins kind of thing. It's like, oh,
yeah, I don't know how you pull that off.
Yeah,
like it's insane how did you
yeah. So of course the nurse turns into a zombie soon after, and Lionel has to defend himself from both Mum and the nurse, and Lionel grabbing a fish decoration off the wall and using it as a ninja star and tossing it at the nurse's head, which knocks the head off back again. Beautiful. I mean, just perfect.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Just an awesome effect. Oh, God, I love this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's hard because there's so much.
And I want to list it all, Tim. I'm not done. I want to go for it.
You're not done? You're going to try to go forever it? Okay.
Oh, God. This is the Junkman of the season, where the action is what we need to really go on and on about.
You're right. Because it's just ongoing. There is rare slow parts.
Lionel always injecting his mum up the nose with the tranquilizer.
Always. It doesn't actually. It's not always the mum. It's anybody, any zombie he's trying to incapacitate or whatever is gonna get it up the nose. That's the only way he knows how to inject anybody.
Going straight to the brain.
It seemed like he did it by accident the first time. It's like, this is the way to do it.
It works, yeah.
Yep.
And then we have to talk about the cemetery scene.
Okay, cool. So we're going to there. Okay,
yeah,
cool,
possibly.
I was worried we were going to go like when he goes back into the basement. But yes, great.
No,
yes.
possibly the greatest action scene ever put to film.
It is my favorite.
This calls for divine intervention.
I kick ass for the Lord. It is phenomenal. We have a kung fu priest.
Father Magruder. What a classic. What a show. The moves are incredible.
It's great.
Yeah, it is something right out of a Shaw Brothers kung fu movie.
It's legitimate good kung fu that he's kicking these greasers' butt as a priest.
Zombie greasers.
Zombie greasers. Yeah.
And so hard, so much butt is he kicking that he is severing the limbs off of one of the zombie greasers bit by bit just with his kung fu. And unfortunately,
he takes that zombie out because he doesn't come back.
Well, unfortunately, he knocks his head way into the air while he's doing all this severing, and that thing comes down and bites him
on the shoulder.
Yeah,
where everybody seems to get bit.
Yeah, just a bummer because man, what an ally he was.
Well, and then he goes like flying and impales himself, and he watches himself get impaled. Like they have a shot of him being like, "Oh," as the thing's coming through him, and it's like, "Oh my god."
What a cool movie.
And of course, it's the zombie priest that knocks up the zombie nurse.
Yep. So getting to the scene that you want to talk about before that we filmed, where Lionel accidentally gives all the zombies animal stimulant.
Yeah.
And he buries them thinking they're all poisoned and dead, and they raise from the grave. And this is where he does like the the dolly zoom a la Spielberg and Jaws with the Chief Brody on the beach where he sees what's the kid's name? No, the kid gets eaten by he sees the kid getting eaten by the shark on the raft.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the dolly zoom shot on Lionel's where he realized, oh no. And then all the zombies pop out of the earth. Except for Mom,
and
of
like
course.
Action shots.
And this is a classic Sam Raimi shot where it's like these like low angle zooms.
Yep.
With like the bright lights behind them and everything like that. It's like,
and
wow.
like winds blowing somehow in the basement.
Exactly. Wow, he just hat tips Spielberg and Sam Raimi in the same sequence. Yeah. What a legend. And all the lighting in this basement, every scene in the basement is impeccable. Yeah. Gorgeous purples and reds and everything like that. It's just really good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this leads to one of the greatest ending half hours in a movie I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. It is. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, let's begin with the greaser.
I have so many notes, like I don't even know where to go to first.
Well, we start with the greaser ripping out the ribcage of the first scan he sees.
Oh, yeah.
Outstanding
Rips
work.
It completely just out. And it's always great because they're always like cognizant of it.
Yeah, they're always alive, every victim, as they're seeing themselves be brutalized. And then the very next thing is the priest ripping the face off, just the skin off of a human being, hair and all, just like
everything, just to the skeleton form.
Yeah,
all face only.
You got another guy who's trying to escape through like I don't know, waitstaff door where they slide the food through, but his bottom half has not come with him. There's like all the flesh and muscle from his legs are gone.
He's just skeleton legs.
But the legs are still kicking.
They still move.
What an incredible effect. Followed by, again, the greaser zombie sneaking up behind a woman, punching his fist through the back of a woman's head and coming out of her mouth.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was great. It was great. Oh my god.
Then we got one zombie gets killed with a light bulb to the back of the head. That is the strongest light bulb in film history.
Yes, but she comes back and then eventually gets lit on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lionel severing the greaser zombie in half, who was trying to sneak through the bottom of a door.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure how that one worked, but still cool as hell to see the upper half of the zombie jump up and try to get him, and then he escapes, but then the bottom half kicks him in the chest, in the stomach.
There
and he has
is,
to go back.
at one point, a headless zombie gets hit with a gnome,
Yeah.
and the garden gnome, becomes the zombie's head.
Yeah.
Which is also priceless to see this zombie gnome head walking around.
How about the greaser zombie's guts becoming sentient? And then and then somehow recognizing itself in the mirror for the first time. It's like, oh, this is what I look like.
Yeah. and it's like one of the most deadly things. It just keeps coming after Lionel. And he's like hanging from the ceiling. The zombie guts is coming for him. And it's so...
the sequence with Paquita versus Baby Sulin in the kitchen, where she knocks it a few times and eventually launches it out the window, which goes straight into Uncle Les's crotch. For like the third or fourth time he's gotten hit in the crotch in this movie.
Paquita really liked to use the what do you call it? The blender. That was a big Paquita move. Is the blender.
Zombie Greaser's guts trap Lionel like a Spider-Man would a bank robber and pull him back to the attic. I love that bit.
Yeah.
And then, it all culminates really in the lawnmower scene.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
it is amazing. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
No, especially in the very beginning of the movie where he's cutting the lawn. It gets jammed on the grass.
It gets jammed on him, yeah. On grass. But here he is chopping up and he is like, they make a point to show he is surrounded.
Yeah.
He is covered. And somehow he never gets bit or anything. And I guess the way they try to justify it is because he's got that necklace for most of it.
I guess, man. That thing only comes in handy at the end.
It's supposed to protect him. But it also showed some truth, I guess, too. So I don't know.
Yeah. All right. We'll go with that.
Sure.
But yeah, it definitely 79 gallons of fake blood and guts were used in this sequence, the lawnmower sequence. 79 gallons.
It's insane.
Where he's just like, he's got this lawnmower strapped to him, almost like a necklace around the back of his, and he's just like facing it at everybody, all the zombies.
But it's always zoomed in.
Pieces.
They do a good job to make sure it's all up close.
Yeah.
And like quick stuff and very chaotic. So you never really see how kind of dumb it probably looked. But
and then I got a few seconds later, I got Baby Sulin popping through Rita, the party guest's head.
Oh, yeah.
And then operating her like a mech suit or something like that.
Great. Because she's like clearly turning into a zombie. And like Paquita's like, oh no, she's my friend.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, and then that happens. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. The face just rips right in half. And then he's like operating the body like it's a mech suit.
It's the closest thing to like the cover art.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
And then you got Uber Mom, because every other zombie is dead.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how they got that puppet to like walk up the stairs.
I don't know.
It was amazing to look at.
It was impressive.
What a feat.
I mean, and I don't know why they had to go with such detail with the boobs,
the nudity,
and the butt and everything.
So it just had to be that. We're out to gross you out, man.
Oh my God. And then it like opens up its stomach to come back into Mom.
Yeah, reabsorbs Lionel into the womb.
Oh my God.
So gross. And then that stupid necklace finally comes in handy because he's able to cut his way out.
Gets himself out of it that way, yep.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have to write about for action. We could go on and on about this. We've probably gone on too long, too far.
There's so many things we probably skipped.
I gave it a 5. I could probably give it a 6 and go just like we did with the Junkman and go above and beyond. Incredible stuff. I
actually went 4, but
You're wrong.
Because like I guess because I'm it really could be because I'm like, all right, this is a horror season and it's not scary, and I have to get over like there's different genres, as we discussed so many times within horror. There's so many subgenres, and this is horror comedy, so I shouldn't be judging it based off of it being scary or not.
No, you shouldn't.
So you're right. Like,
Scary's not a category.
It's not.
Yeah.
You're right.
How are we gonna how are you gonna grade Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Army of Darkness if you're worried about scary?
You're completely correct. You're completely correct.
Entertaining action. This movie gives it in spades.
I'm good.
5.
I'll go with it. 5.
Yeah, yeah.
5. It's there's so much here to have fun with. It's insane. You're not bored.
No.
There's no way you're bored.
No way. And then mentor sidekick, we got it's really just sidekick Paquita. The grocer's daughter, whose grandmother can read tarot cards and convinces Paquita that Lionel is her true love.
She is horny as hell.
Yeah. She's DTF, man.
She's ready to go.
She's the only one in New Zealand who appears to be DTF. Her and Uncle Les. Everyone else is like kind of weird about sex. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's all the men especially. Like,
she's ready to go until Grandma's like, you know what? It's not that one. It's this one. She's like, all right, let's go then. I don't care that he's a mama's boy. Like, let's go.
Well, yeah. She sees the sign. She's like, well, no questions asked. This is it.
Yeah. Doesn't question it ever.
Yeah.
Just immediately like, yeah, he's the guy then. Let's go.
It's not a great part by any means. She doesn't have a lot to do. Your mother ate my dog. Great line delivery.
Right. She has some fun at the end.
True. She's good.
Yeah.
My favorite scene with her, though, is when she discovers all the bodies in the basement. And she's freaking out, and like the colors that Peter Jackson's using through all that sequence and everything, just in the lighting, it's beautiful. I think it's
But
awesome.
to be fair, my note is she handles it pretty well. She gets over it pretty quick.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Handles that real well.
This is where I wrote.
This is my shortest category.
Yeah, and I wrote up Uncle Les, and he's a jerk, and it's funny to watch bad things happen to him.
Yeah, and I put him in villain. I didn't put him in
Fair enough.
sidekick.
But I gave this one a 2. I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, actually, I went 2.5, but I'm cool with going to 2
Okay.
because
So,
I went higher on other things. So,
what was your final score then?
well, I think my scores got changed here, but
Okay.
I was at an 11.
I'm at a 13.
Yeah, I'm at after rescoring, it's 13.
All right, 13 it is.
I skipped villain by accident.
The Nazi doctor that Lionel bought the tranquilizer from, that was a weird side character.
That's a really weird one.
I don't know what the point of that one was.
I don't know. They even made a point to show in the very last shot of him that his doctor coat was ripped to see the Nazi logo.
He's still rocking the swastika on his jacket. Like, all right.
Yeah, it's very over the top. I am German. Like, it's very like,
Yeah.
okay.
Did you enjoy Baby Peter Jackson's cameo as the mortician's assistant?
I didn't notice it.
It's because he shaved the beard, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, and thankfully he kept the trope going of the sandwich on the dead body.
Oh yeah, because he eats it.
Yeah.
Oh, he eats the sandwich with all the gross stuff going everywhere.
Gotta do it. Every time you're in a morgue, someone's eating something off of a dead body.
People are either just so fat and they just need to eat, or they just need to F.
I enjoyed the gag picture of Lionel's dad feeding a giant sausage to his mistress. And then I watched 2 different YouTube videos on this movie.
You said you were going to.
Both of them were like New Zealand news reports.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of them was like about the cutting back of... 'cause New Zealand films are filmed by the government.
Oh, okay.
It's part of like a lottery system or something. And this is the movie that they were filming at the time, and they were like, I can't believe our tax dollars are paying for this kind of thing. And like it's wild to watch like the guy who's in charge of like who gives the money. He's like, And like the reporter's like, is this really representing Kiwi culture? And the guy's like, yeah. This is made by all New Zealand actors, made from a New Zealand crew, New Zealand perspective. This is our comedy. These are our feelings. This is a great representative of our country. And he's 100% right. And good for him for backing Peter Jackson, because that paid off big time later on for him.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird, right? Like, how is this movie just like being seen for free on YouTube? And really surprisingly good quality. Oh, is it not supposed to be on there?
I'm pretty sure it's not.
The quality's insane.
Yeah, unfortunately, he hasn't come up with like a new like transfer of the movie. I mean, you can get it Blu-ray or whatever, but it's incredibly hard to get, expensive to get. Supposedly, he was working on a brand new transfer where he's going to have a bunch of behind the scenes for all of his like original 3 movies. And I want this one desperately. I'm ready to pay through the nose to get it.
It's
when he finally gets around to it, but he's he's notoriously taking his time. He's still counting all of his Hobbit money. And he's just doing what he wants to do. The last 2 movies were documentaries. He's like, this is what interests me.
Yeah, he did the Beatles one. That was like a huge hit.
And the World War I one that he did before that.
Oh, yeah, when he colorized it and everything.
Yeah. Which was also really good.
I didn't see that one yet. Yeah, I wanted to.
And they interviewed Peter Jackson's mother in this news report, too. And they're asking, like, how did this happen? How is your son making these films? And she's this sweet old lady. She's like, I don't know. He was like this sweet boy. And one day, his girlfriend brought over some bobbies, and they hung the bobbies.
They hung the bobbies?
But he didn't do anything to anyone. He was, he just liked that stuff. That's awesome.
Sure. Okay.
But in it, we find out like that 650 models, masks, and body parts were made for the film.
It's impressive.
And what's really wild is that the guy who did the makeup, the main guy, Rick Taylor, is like 26 years old.
Oh, wow.
And this is his big start. Like he's done a bunch of things like commercials and everything before this. But for this movie, he becomes kind of world renowned and eventually does the Lord of the Rings movies. And now he runs Weta, which is like probably the number 2 special effects house in the world. Only to like Lucasfilm. Maybe he's number 1 now. I don't know.
Right, yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah. Also Academy Award winner and everything.
And it's impressive what they're doing in this movie.
Yeah, really amazing stuff. And then they're showing them shooting the cemetery scenes at night and everything on location. And a lot of the crew have these knitted wool hats that say Brain Dead on them. And
nice.
Goddamn, I really want one.
You want one?
I really do.
I'm curious what they look like now. It's
just like a little knitted wool hat that just says Brain Dead right here. And it's like, well, I don't like wearing... It never gets cold enough where I live to necessitate a knitted wool hat, but boy, that's a cool hat to have.
Yeah.
So this movie had a budget of like $2.5 million, which is a little under $5.5 million today. And the worldwide theatrical gross was a little under, it was a little over 1.6 million. So just under 3.5 million today. But I think this movie made all of its money back and then some through VHS rentals and stuff like that. Yeah.
It was it was hard to find when I did eventually get it in Blockbuster. It was like one of those VHS tapes where it's always out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I believe it.
A classic at slumber parties. Just phenomenal film. Love it so much. Yeah. Peter Jackson.
I couldn't get over it. Like watching it back in the day for the first time. We nonstop laughing.
Yeah. It's a big hit with 12-year-old boys and apparently me now.
Yeah, I mean, heck, I was in high school when I saw it for the first time and I thought it was phenomenal. So, I mean, it started my love of horror can be dumb fun too.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have to be, if I'm not scared, it's bad. Right? That I feel like some people get stuck on. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't scary, so it's a bad movie. It's like, no, F you. That shouldn't be where you're stuck at, where it's either I'm scared or it's bad. Like, that's stupid. And this movie helped me break that. Where like, no, horror movies can be good regardless whether it's scary or not.
That's right. So next week,
yeah, it's your pick.
We're gonna try Pet Sematary 2.
Woo!
Time to get our Edward Furlong on.
Yeah, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Edward Furlong, Clancy Brown.
And Anthony Edwards, I believe, too, right?
Yeah.
Goose.
You got some stars in this movie.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
All right.
All right, man. That is it for us. Please show your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. You can contact us by emailing at philbrodchamp@gmail.com or find us by searching for the hashtag philbrodchamp. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Phil Bros Championship Podcast. Peace out, everyone.
I kick ass for the Lord.